What is up, guys? In this video, I'm going to give you my 1-year ownership review of my 2023 Lexus NX350h. Now, if you guys have been following the channel, you guys know I picked this up exactly about a year ago. I put 25,000 kilometers on the car. I want to give you my full review after a year of ownership. I think that's important. Look, I've done other reviews, obviously first impressions, owned it for 3 months, but after a year, you get to really know the car. This is past that honeymoon phase. Like with any relationship, the first 6 months are all great and everything. What is it actually like picking up this vehicle after a year? We'll start with the price. Again, this is the NX350h. This is the hybrid model that came out with the ultra luxury package. And in this version here, I got the eminent white that you can see with the Palomino interior. Beautiful. It's basically got everything fully loaded except some nuanced things that is part of the executive package, like the heads-up display and everything. But otherwise, this is as loaded as you can get outside of that executive package, and I'm really happy with this spec. Now, I think this spec was the best value for the money, but it cost me out the door in Canada after taxes about 70,000 Canadian dollars. So that was the price tag to enter this vehicle. Why did I pick up this vehicle in the first place? That's the most important thing. It's not for the acceleration off the line necessarily, but it was a car and SUV that I wanted to get me and my family. I got a new family, new kid, from point A to B efficiently and reliably in luxury. In a little bit of luxury. So that was the key parameters of which I chose this Lexus NX350h. Now, I have a separate video where I compared this vehicle to other vehicles we were comparing, like the BMW X5, like the Genesis GV70. But we chose the Lexus for a whole bunch of these different reasons that I talked about. But the main thing is, what is the performance, right? Reliability is a big part of that. Fuel efficiency is a big part of that. So obviously that starts with the engine. This engine is a 4-cylinder engine making 240 horsepower and 167 pound-feet of torque. In my first impression video, I also talked about, I think that torque number is underrated. It doesn't include the actual battery component. It feels like about 200 pound-feet of torque in my opinion. Haven't gone to the dyno yet to confirm that, but it does feel peppy enough on the street. But the reason why we went with the 350h is not for the horsepower, not necessarily for the torque, but for the fuel economy. And I'm gonna not say the official stats of the fuel economy. I'm gonna give you my real-life fuel economy performance. In the highway, real life, again, I'm facing winter conditions as well in Canada, in Ontario, on top of, the summers that we have. So I've seen all weather kind of performance. In the summer, on highway driving and mixed city driving together, I'm getting about 6.3 liters per 100 kilometers is the average. In the winter, that's degrading to about 6.7 liters to 6.8 liters per 100 kilometers, mixed city and highway. Obviously, much better in the city and then less better in the highway. Sometimes I'm getting up to 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway. But in terms of fuel economy, those numbers are phenomenal for this small luxury compact size SUV. So I'm actually really happy with the fuel economy figures. Me and my wife love it. Every time we do end up going to the pump, it's not that expensive. And of course, this engine does not require premium fuel. So 87 octane is what we fill it in, driving it for a year. It's in the owner's manual. That saves you more money at the gas pump. Now, the one little nuance I will say here is the tank size is a bit small. I believe it's 14.5 gallons. It's a little bit smaller than normal. I would have loved to have a tank size be a little bit bigger. So that means we're a little bit more frequently stopping to fill up the vehicle because of the smaller tank size. But that's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. Look, you're not spending that much time at the gas station anyway because the tank is smaller and you're getting much better fuel efficiency, so you're not actually going to the gas station as often, but something I thought I'd call out. Now, this is all mated, this engine and the performance, to the CVT transmission. I know a lot of people hate these CVTs, but I'm telling you right now, for A to B driving, taking your family about, it's been perfect. The transmission is not even in my mind when I drive this vehicle. The shifts are fine. Going into reverse is fine. Getting up to speed is fine. Nothing is out of the ordinary when it comes to this transmission. And again, the shifter, which I also love, I'll talk about the interior in a moment, makes it very simple and easy. It's intuitive to get into gear. The shifts are precise and strong. Honestly, I have no problem with the shifter. Now, the other thing is the suspension, right? In terms of the noise that we also hear from the exterior, the elements that are coming in, I think they've done a good job. Now, the Lexus RX and the Lexus TX, which I've also reviewed, the Lexus TX specifically adds extra noise dampening. So it's not as refined as, let's say, Lexus's higher end models, but it still does a really good job. The suspension is soft, supple. It's not super stiff like maybe the F Sport versions of this vehicle, but again, what is the purpose of this vehicle? It's for a comfortable ride for your family, for your friends to get in, go point A to B in comfort. That's what this suspension setup does. Now, in terms of the tires, it does come with run flats. I have these 18s on for the winters, so I've used both combinations. And look, I've had a great experience with both. Of course, the run flat tires are a little bit noisier. That's by nature, and that's fine based on the tires. But honestly, I've had no problems with this vehicle. If there's one little nick, I'd say if it was a little bit quieter, something that resembled the TX, I would have appreciated that more. But again, this is the NX. This is their starting lineup model for Lexus when you want to get into an SUV that holds more and more passengers. So overall, I really do like it. Before we get into the interior, let's look at the exterior. I think, again, it's been a year, and I said this in my first impression, like, I don't typically go buy vehicles unless when I look at them, it gets my heart excited, right? It really looks nice. And quite frankly with you, when we were looking across all the different SUVs in this segment, none of them looked so good as this one, in my opinion. I think Lexus did a really, really good job on the entire design language of the exterior. From the front end, I really love that grille, that beautiful Lexus grille design language up front. I really do like this. I think the lights look great. I think everything about it looks, even though this is not the F Sport model, by the way, it looks sporty, it looks sharp, it looks clean. The side profile looks really strong, and even the rear looks nice and aggressive, chunky, but sleek at the same time. I think they did a really good job of making this SUV look sporty but elegant, stylish but sophisticated. I think they really nailed it. So honestly, bravo to the Lexus team, the people designing these vehicles. That styling and what they've done from the exterior, I think translates well to the interior. And so this is one of my favorite places to sit in this vehicle. I love what they've done with the interior design language of this car, inclusive of the technology package, which I will talk about with you, because I think that is also class leading looking at all the other vehicles in this segment. So we really look at it and I think, okay, I want to talk about design. I want to talk about how intuitive it is to be in the vehicle. And I think overall, they've done a great job. You have this beautiful, nicely leather wrapped steering wheel, nice and thick, paddle shifters again, a little bit of that sporty little flair that they've added into this vehicle, all incorporated into here. All of my controls here, a multi-function instrument cluster, and then this 14-inch touchscreen display that is on here that's also tilted towards the driver, which really does help, guys. Honestly, this is one of the most practical and intuitive infotainment systems I've used and reviewed across all of these vehicles and SUVs. I love it. Wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, really simple for me to access. A combination of touchscreen controls, but also tactile controls that you can go ahead and use, adjust the knob for the temperature, do all of these things. I think that's very important in an SUV when you're on the go, you're doing lots of different things, to go ahead and adjust those settings by feeling them and not necessarily looking at the screen. But the great thing about this screen is that while I'm driving, I can actually see my map in the peripherals right here. I don't need to like gaze my attention in one direction that's away from the road. It's kind of right there in your peripheral vision on the road for you. So that I think is very important, guys. And honestly, we've been using this for a year. I have loved it. It's been very, very intuitive, easy to use. All the apps come in. Obviously, I use this with Apple CarPlay. My wife uses it with Android Auto. We have the same great experience. We love that. Absolutely amazing. You have these door handles that are kind of push button door handles, which will also help you if there's a cyclist coming by. It's got a safety system embedded. It's not going to actually open the door. Of course, your standard stuff here, you know, your memory seats, power folding windows, heated windows, all of that's there. These seats are fully adjustable, so heated, cooled seats, lumbar support for the driver only. Unfortunately, the lumbar support's only for the driver, but fully adjustable, heated, cooled, automated system. So if you set the temperature, let's say to 21 degrees, you can just say for your seats and your steering wheel, which is also heated, control the heating to get me to that temperature the fastest pace possible, but then keep me there. So it's got all of that there. Of course, it has all the standard capabilities like automatic rain sensing wipers, all of those different pieces in place. It's got that. A rear view camera system. So for my rear view mirror, I can either use the camera or I can use the actual mirror. I like using both actually. I really like the actual camera system because it gives you a much wider field of view. So I really like that. This Palomino interior, by the way, tell me what you guys think of the Palomino interior. I really love it. I really love the Palomino with this eminent white pearl as the exterior color. I think it adds a great contrast. And these seats are not full leather. They are the new Lux leather, the synthetic leather that Lexus provides. You can only get the full official leather when you go with the executive package. But quite honestly, a lot of people just like the new Lux leather. I've again used it in hot weather temperatures and in cold, and I think these do the best. They're ventilated, which is great, but it's not ever too hot and it's not ever too cold. I think these are like really perfect seats in terms of the material that they use. It leads to a great experience when you're getting in and out of it. And again, when you're getting in and out, all the profiles are loaded, right? With the Lexus app, if I walk up to the car, I walk up with my credit card key fob, it's gonna automatically load all my settings so my seating is all set up. It's gonna retract the seat, retract the steering wheel. I get in and load it up to my settings. My temperature settings, everything else, my seat settings, all of that is adjusted for me. Wireless CarPlay, Android Auto's there, I discussed, but also wireless charging for your phone. So you have a nice little place here, a little cubby, put your phone in. USB and USB-C is dotted throughout the vehicle, which I also love. We have a USB-C cable up front or port, and we have another USB port available and 2 USB-C ports available in the rear. You have a little cubby storage in here, which I like that you can open both ways, from the passenger side and from the driver's side. So both of them are available there as well. Really simple, easy to use. The panoramic roof. I love this. I always keep it open. It adds so much light into the cabin. It makes everything feel very spacious, and I really, really do appreciate that. So driving this vehicle, guys, is really good. The A-pillar is not super bulky, so you can see very clearly. Again, as I'm looking outwards towards the vehicle, I don't see any of the hood. I just see the road. It makes maneuvering the vehicle very easy and simple. And again, this is a smaller sized SUV with a full assortment of cameras throughout. So this does have full camera system. So when I reverse, I see everything around me. 360 camera system. It's got all the sensors to help you with parking, all of that jazz built into the executive package. And I really, really do appreciate that. It does make parking in like tighter spots or anything really easy. The system is great. And even in the winter, and I've dealt with lots of snow, fog, hail, all of that stuff, the system doesn't 100% work in every condition, of course, if the sensor's covered by snow, but I felt like that wasn't happening so often. So I think the system did a really good job of just making sure that all of it was working, and I didn't face too many interruptions with the system, so that was really helpful as well. Now, in terms of the rear seats, so again, we have been using this vehicle with a baby seat in the back. It is a little tight with 2 other people in there. Of course, it is. This is the smaller NX. If you wanted some more space, you would go and upgrade to the RX, which I also did a full review about. The RXs give you about, let's say, 15 to 20% more space in general, from the front cabin, from the rear seats, and to the trunk. So think about the RX as like 20% bigger of a vehicle. But then if you needed more, you would go and get the TX, which I also reviewed. So again, I will link all of these reviews in the description box down below and in the card above, so you guys can go ahead and check it out. So it really depends in terms of like seating space. Yes, the NX can fit 2 more plus a baby in there, or 3 people in the back, but it's a tighter fit. So in terms of sizing, it just depends on where you are in your life and what you need to do. But for us, it's been perfect, right? You have cup holders in the back, you have USB-C, you can also recline the rear seat a little bit to just get a little bit more relaxation and room. So you have all that covered. And then in terms of trunk space, you do have a good amount of trunk space. And again, you can fully fold down the rear seat, so if you need to bring in something bigger. It also has a kick sensor, by the way, so you can walk up to the rear, kick it open, hands-free. That's been pretty helpful for me, quite honestly. And then go ahead, just lock it and walk away from the vehicle. It'll automatically lock. So I do like that. Honestly, it's been really good. And look, over a year so far, I've been using this car for everything, from hauling my baby, hauling my friends, hauling furniture, all of this stuff. And yes, working with the constraints of the size and being able to fold down the seats has been very, very helpful. So in terms of capacity and storage, it depends on what you need in your life to pick the right vehicle. But for us, with 1 baby, a family of 3, this is perfect for us. To round off on technology, the Lexus app as well is really useful. Again, so similar to, let's say, a Tesla app, you can actually just use your phone and walk up to the car as a key. So it's a digital key to unlock it. You can start the car remotely, set the temperature up, lock the car remotely, all of the stuff that you would expect on two different profiles. So me and my wife have two profiles, easy. We both have two credit card keys. So I keep that in my wallet. I walk up to the vehicle, it senses me, it notices me, loads up all my settings, and it's done. Very simple, easy to use. The only nuance is a weird thing with the Lexus app. Me and my wife, I had to create one profile, and we both have to log into that one profile on the Lexus app. That's a little bit weird. I hope they update and change that. But outside of the weirdness of setting that up originally, it's been perfectly fine and efficient. Now, of course, I talked about, look, when I said, what do I want out of a vehicle? Reliability, the ability to travel in luxury, and reliability comes with also maintenance. And so when I think about what I've done for this vehicle in the first year of ownership, it's really been nothing outside of an oil change and changing the tires for the season. And that's the great thing about this vehicle. Really, if you look at the maintenance schedule for this car, oil changes. You do your oil changes on time and you're good. Now, Lexus recommends something like 16,000 kilometers on your oil changes, which I would personally not do. I'm following a schedule of every 10,000 kilometers, I'm changing it with the oil filter to full synthetic oil. I actually have a full video. If you're looking to buy this car, how to do it, very simple. I'll link it in the card above as well. Show you how to do the full oil change on this vehicle. Very simple, easy. It'll take you under 30 minutes. You can do that and basically cost you nothing. So if I think about what is the maintenance that you have to do on this car? Outside of consumables, guys, that's it, right? The hybrid system is highly reliable. Toyota has been making hybrids for decades. They know how to make hybrid vehicles. So I am very comfortable knowing that the hybrid system here is really tip-top, and they have an amazing warranty. The warranty for these hybrid vehicles blows out the competition in terms of the coverage, what they will cover, and the duration of the coverage. So again, I'm not super worried about anything hybrid related on these vehicles at all. And the engines, of course, the one thing that you're sacrificing with a Toyota vehicle or a Lexus, in this case the NX350h, you're not getting the most powerful vehicle. You're not getting the most torquey engine. You're not getting the best sounding engine. But what you are getting is rock solid, consistent reliability with not too many frets on the maintenance. And that was top of mind for me. My wife does not care about going to 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds in an SQ5 or something crazy like that. My wife is concerned about making sure she can comfortably and reliably get to point A to B with the baby in the back. That's what's most important to her in luxury and in style, right? Of course, it needs to have the power to go up to highway merging speed and to overtake and all of this stuff. I think they've done a great job with this NX. I know Lexus and Toyota, they're still struggling to make these vehicles. The demand for these vehicles, especially the hybrid models, is really overstripping supply. And so my dad, by the way, he delivers the steel to these factories, and he's telling me all the time, he's like, man, they're just pumping out lots of these cars. They can't handle all the demand for these vehicles. This is a statement I'm saying going into 2024. This could change, of course. We know lots of the stuff with the COVID dynamics has completely shifted the market. But I know personally, by speaking with you guys, there's still lots of demand for these hybrid vehicles. A lot of people are not ready to fully transition into EVs just yet, and they see hybrid as a great middle ground option where they can get amazing fuel economy, but still be able to go fill it up at a gas station, not have that kind of range anxiety that some people may get with an EV. And so when you look at the market and you look at what other EV hybrid options are there for SUVs, there aren't actually that many that provide the full package and the full value that this Lexus NX350h delivers. I'm looking at the odometer right now. I'll tell you exactly, 24,616 kilometers on this vehicle from zero, from brand new. Me and my wife have loved it, right? It's been really, really good. There's been some quirky things we've had to adjust to, and that adjustment took a couple months, like the door handle. Sometimes we forgot, we got adjusted to that. The shifter, very quickly, we got adjusted to how the shifter works. The other unique quirk is when people do come in the car that are not familiar with our car, they always struggle to understand how to open the door. That's so funny. We always have to tell them, you just push it and push it out. And then once they've come in the vehicle a few times, they're like, that kind of makes sense, right? So a little adjustment there, not a big deal in the world. And then a few TSBs that we also had taken care of in the beginning months of owning this vehicle. So a TSB I had for a shaking driver's side mirror. That was one. There was another TSB that was available for the charging, the wireless charger, which now works fully. So that's been taken care of as well. So there are these new things, that little nuance things that happened in the beginning of ownership, which was taken right away. And by the way, big shout out to Lexus of Oakville. They've been amazing. I bought my vehicle from them. The service experience is just as important as buying the vehicle. So make sure where you do buy your car from, that they treat you with respect. They treat you good when you do service your vehicle for anything that you need. That's really important. And I found my experience with Lexus, at least at Lexus of Oakville, was tip top. So thank you guys at Lexus of Oakville. They did an amazing job in dealing with us every single day. The other thing I want to talk about, because we do a lot of highway driving, is the dynamic cruise control system on this vehicle. The lane keep assist is really good. Compared to, let's say, the Hyundai or to other manufacturers, even Tesla, and I've tested the Model 3 and the Model S. I will say I love the settings on this vehicle, the way that you can adjust how quickly it accelerates from a stop, how quickly it will take turns and keep within the lanes. I think they've done a very, very, very good job on this. And so that's one thing I want to call out, is the amount of stress that gets reduced for me when I'm driving on the highway in rush hour traffic. I just put on the dynamic cruise control system and it works really well, and works as intuitively as a human would in terms of braking appropriately and accelerating quick enough that you're not annoying people. This system does a great job once you fine tune the settings. So I set it up to be aggressive on the acceleration, but a little bit distance in terms of when braking is, to make sure that the braking's happening and I get the feedback that, hey, it knows and it's braking appropriately. And look, I think that's important. Again, this is a daily driver. It's got to have those good daily driver kind of features. In addition, not only the dynamic cruise control, but it's also got lane change assist, so you can automatically change lane by holding the stalk left or right. So that's cool. And finally, Lexus Safety Sense. Again, standard. Love this. It's got rear cross traffic alert, pedestrian alert, all the warnings around you, emergency braking assist. I literally feel like this car in the year has saved me twice from a potential accident, because either the system gave me a little bit of a heads up, or it actually started braking for me in certain situations and allow me to actually see, hey, something's happening, oh, be aware. So again, I really think for a family car that's a non-starter, you want all of the greatest safety technology features available. Lexus includes it all standard. So I really like that. Great on you, Lexus. It has saved me at least twice. And so that's really excellent. And again, it's intuitive. The way that it kind of warns you with that, I really, really like that. Now, if I am going to say something about the dynamic cruise control system, which I really like, and again, this is a safety feature that I think maybe is a little overbearing. I have to touch the steering wheel. It feels like once every 15 seconds. That kind of gets annoying. Like, I'm paying attention on the road, and sometimes I like to have my hands just resting on my knees, but still right here in front of me, but not necessarily holding the wheel. Small nitpick, but I thought I would mention it. I would love to see a technology like GM Super Cruise, where it's actually just tracking my eyes, and I don't necessarily have to hold my hands over the steering wheel. And yes, this car does have an eco mode, normal mode, and sport mode in terms of driving characteristics. It will adjust how the engine shifts, but honestly, did I really notice a difference being in eco, normal, and sport? Very little. I just default to keeping it in eco. You know, I think I've maybe used sport mode twice just to feel like fun for a little bit, and maybe used the paddle shifters a couple times, but realistically, I think the paddle shifters are here more to be cool looking, and the sport mode here just to say we got a sport mode. One last question I do get asked is, because this is the ultra luxury package, I am missing out on the heads-up display and the Mark Levinson sound system. Sonduren, how is the stock sound system versus the ML system? Well, I can tell you I've listened to both. I've listened to both in the TX, the RX, the NX. Yes, there's a difference. There is a difference. Is the difference worth it enough for us? I didn't care for the heads-up display too much. I also didn't care for the rear folding seats too much, the power automated rear folding seats. So really, the extra $5,000, which is the cost of the package to go into the executive package, was that worth it for us? And after talking to my wife, we said no. But that was for us. If you really care for that audio, you care for the power folded rear seats, you care for the heads-up display, go ahead and do that. Then you also get the touchpad controls on the steering wheel to manage that heads-up display. Then go do that. But for us at the time, we made a decision, you know what, for us, that wasn't so important. And to be honest with you, we didn't really have a choice. Again, this was a canceled order that we picked up. So it was this spec or nothing. And so we said, okay, let's go with this spec. That was the decision we wanted to make. But, you know, if you're ordering this new, you have the option to get the ML system. It sounds really good, and it definitely sounds better than the stock system. If I were to put a percentage on it, 30% better. So I hope that helps. And basically the highs, medium, and lows, they're more separated, that add to a better audio experience. Also, I felt that the subwoofer or the bass on the ML units was a little bit stronger and more precise and toned. Those are the main differences that I felt, and all of that added to a better listening experience overall. It really did, for the front passengers and in the rear. But that's my review, guys. That's my 1 year ownership review and update. I hope this was helpful. I hope this gave you some additional context into actually what it's like to own this vehicle. But, you know, I look back and I say, was this the right decision to make? Absolutely it was. I am so happy with the decision we made on this hybrid SUV. You know, I was debating, should I go full EV or not? You guys know on this channel, I was even looking at the Cadillac Lyriq, which was an option for a full EV SUV around in this price range. But we ended up deciding, you know what? I really want to go with Lexus. I love the Lexus brand for my IS250 and IS350. You know, I felt like the NX350h hit on all the check boxes that I wanted in a luxury family SUV. And I couldn't be happier. If you got any questions, leave them down in the comment box down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure, again, you subscribe. Over 100,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you like this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. And hopefully I can give you another update with this car at 100,000 kilometers and be like, it's still kick ass. I'll catch you guys in the next one.